Share
Kirishanu B'Mitzvotav,
Tzivanu Ba'asok Divrei Torah.
Amen.
Okay. Hi. It's good to be home. I hope everyone is well. Gary, good to see you. Joseph, Ray. Oh, Eric. Eric, where are you? I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm unmuted now. I'm in my car coming from service Cold Tickler in Parkland, Florida.
Okay. All right. So got car treatment. Okay, that's good. Let's see. I see Kevin. Hi, Kevin. I see Maya. Shabbat Shalom, Maya. Good to see you next to your grandmother. Hi, Risa. I see Zax. Thanks for your note, Zax. That was nice. Ray, Joseph, Diane, Howard. You still look tall, Howard, when I meet you at services. I don't know. It's always, anyway, Howard had a grandson who was part of the liturgical choir last night. So that was fun. And Howard, am I allowed to mention that you're having your adult second bar mitzvah in July? Can I mention that? Or should I not?
Oh, absolutely, of course. And I'm thinking we're probably going to wind up inviting by email everybody, and if they RSVP for lunch, otherwise just come.
Okay, so that's great. It's
going to be in this.
July.
It's supposed to be in the main sanctuary, so there's plenty of room for like 2,000.
It'll be in Koreatown. But remember, the Saturday morning after Howard's bar mitzvah, we will critique the bar mitzvah during class. Okay?
Sounds like a good idea.
Will we be able to watch it on Zoom, Howard?
I don't know.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, it'll be live streamed like a
Thank you,
regular
Hannah.
service.
It'll
You're
be
welcome.
great. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you. Okay, Roy. Okay, I see Merle. I see Arthur, David, Shabbat Shalom, Natalie. Hi, Shabbat Shalom, Doris, Rebecca. I didn't see you last night.
Oh, feeling lazy.
Okay, I don't take attendance. See Cindy. Hi, Cindy.
I was
Lynn, Helen, Effie, Stacy, Barbara. Hi, Barbara. Okay, I think we're pretty much all here, and it's hail, hail. Okay, Wednesday, May 3rd is our next current events class, and you know that I set a temporary date around the 1st, 2nd of May in which we will get a really good picture about what might be happening in Israel. So May 3rd is a good date. We'll see. So May 3rd, current events. The next one is May 17th. Now, special announcement. May 5 through 7, which actually means this coming Shabbat, May 5 through 7, Risa and I will be in Los Gatos, California, where I will be officiating at the installation of their new rabbi. So
Fantastic.
the problem with Los Gatos, it's on the same time category as Los Angeles. So I am proud and pleased and grateful to announce that Dr. Ashkenazi will teach our class this coming week. So you're going to be in great shape. Everyone's going to be in great shape. And having mentioned Dr. Ashkenazi, and without permission, I'd like to hold up what I am now using for my weight training. This is Dr. Ashkenazi's brand new, just came out, still damp from the printer book, entitled the Anchor Yale Bible on Ezra, a new translation, introduction, and commentary by Tamara Cohen-Eskenazi. So this is amazing. When you look at the Anchor Yale Bible commentaries in the back, I mean, they have the world's best scholars doing these commentaries. Mazel tov. Tamara, how many years from the time you first started preparation till this week?
I'm not gonna say, it's too embarrassing. Too long. Hi, Mickey, how you doing?
Okay, you figure what, 20 years more?
More.
Okay, forget it. We're gonna let it go. And there it is, and it's amazing. So if you only just want to do this, or you want to read it, this is.
We couldn't find it online. We couldn't get it on television.
I'm sure you can get it through.
Oh,
You cannot, it's
We missed it.
officially
Sorry.
coming, it's officially coming out in July, but some of us
Yeah.
got a copy.
You didn't call us,
already.
so that's why I didn't know where the hell to go.
Okay,
But you,
so if you want
you
to come
can,
and visit the book,
you can find it online. I'll put up the link, but it's officially not gonna be out. But it's a commentary,
No,
it's
I
not
did
a
not.
book you read. It's not something you read, it's something you kind of consult, really. I mean, it reads differently. Anyway, thank you for the PR.
oh, this is fantastic. I'm
No
thrilled.
wonder, we tried everything, couldn't get
So
it.
since you've done Ezra, Nehemiah is
So where'd
now-
you go to her house to watch it?
Doris, put yourself on
Doris,
mute.
it's available for pre-order on Amazon.
Okay, so Dr. Eskenazi is now working on the commentary for Nehemiah. Ezra and Nehemiah really go together in all kinds of interesting ways. So that's fantastic. Okay, so next Saturday, Dr. Eskenazi will teach. Jim Ruxin, are you here? I didn't see Jim. Cindy, what's up?
We had a good week. We celebrated Israel's 75th birthday on Tuesday. We had an armchair adventure to Prague on Thursday. Last night we had Shabbat dinner, and this upcoming week, nothing.
Whoa,
Take a break.
take a break. That's fantastic. Anyone know what the Jim Ruxin, what the next movie is? When it is?
Yeah, it's 99 Homes. I've seen it. It's very important to watch. It's all about the legal and illegal aspects of eviction. And it's a very honest film. And I will tell you, I was tense from the first second all the way through to the very end. I never was able to take a deep, relaxed breath. It's important to watch it. It's important that we know about these things.
How do you
And
know
it's-
Jim hasn't announced it yet?
He told me.
Yeah, he told Risa. So that's it. Telling Risa she is pretty much.
Well, yeah.
How in the world?
Well, we'll be away, so I won't be at the club.
Okay.
You know what it's on? Netflix or HBO or what?
Prime.
Right.
Okay. Thank you very much for that.
I'm sorry, I missed the name of the movie. Can you repeat it, please?
99 Homes.
Now it's a documentary of a sort, right?
No. It's filmed as if it were a documentary.
Okay, it tells the story.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're going to Leviticus chapter 18, verse 1.
Leviticus
Wow.
18.
776.
Leviticus, what did you say?
WRJ commentary 688. The first 5 verses here are really unusual. Really, really unusual. So it's Leviticus 18:1. I am now going to 776. And 776. Here we go. Okay, Lynn, would you read verses 1 through 5? This is worth the price of admission, these verses.
The Eternal One spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the Israelite people and say to them, I am the Eternal your God. You shall not copy the practices of the land of Egypt where you dwelt, or the land of Canaan to which I am taking you, nor shall you follow their laws. My rules alone shall you observe, and faithfully follow my laws. I am the Eternal your God. You shall keep my laws and my rules, by the pursuit of which human beings shall live. I am the Eternal."
What's going on here? Why am I so excited about these 5 verses? They really, you can skip past them. But, you didn't miss anything, right? And yet, I am going to assert they are 5 of the most important verses needed to help understand the evolution of Jewish law. Any thoughts? Okay, please. I see Natalie.
I think the important thing here is we are told we must be different.
Thank you. I mean, you cut to the chase. Go ahead.
We must be different. Yes.
Hello? You established a Jewish culture. So it's
Different.
apart from everybody else to define you as a unique society.
You were talking.
Okay, so on the one hand, separate from what the non-Jewish world is doing. On the other hand, Eric, establish a Jewish society, the negative and the positive. Howard?
I think there's some politics in here because it's talking about the immorality of Egypt and not mentioning Syria and Iraq, Babylon, which had plenty of immorality. I don't know how much immorality there was in Egypt, but certainly not more than those other 2, which are not mentioned. And
Why do you think it is, Howard? Why are they hitting on Egypt?
Well, the other Torah group is studying. I'm learning learned a little bit about Isaiah, and a lot of Isaiah. The first part of Isaiah is talking about how Israel should not align itself with Egypt. They should align themselves with Syria, and putting it in moral terms for some, obviously political, not moral.
Okay, and I'm going to happily go along with at least part of it is political. The other part, one could say, Howard, this is the community which is the anti-Israel. The much of the basic attitudes reflected in Jewish law bounces back away from Egypt. In my mind, the most extreme example is the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the celebration of what comes next, the pyramids, the animals, the whole thing. So you go and then you go into the next world, and boy, it's really cool. Jewish life flipped the anti-Egypt when it comes to the value of life or of death. And there are other big things. Much of the poetry reflects Egyptian influence. It's there. And the need, therefore, to separate from Egypt, and this is not even political, culturally, religiously, Egypt becomes what we are not. Okay? And okay, but let's go on. I see Steve, then after Steve, Arthur.
I think it's more than just separation. I think Egypt and Canaan are chosen because those are the societies the people have known and will know and will be tempted to assimilate. So I think not only is it separation in, the notion of, but also a warning of not assimilating, even though it might seem easy to be like the people you're surrounded by.
Super. That's really, really good. I remember when Risa and I visited what is called King Solomon's Mines. In the southern Negev. And we became aware of continuing Egyptian influence, even if it's not the same as control. The Egyptians were there, yes, and separation, yes. Don't copy them, yes. Arthur.
If we consider these as a confirmation of selected or chosen people, then we could add the Christianity and Muslim as in this group as well.
Okay, but obviously that's much later than the biblical period. That's much later. Yeah, you didn't copy the Egyptians, don't copy the Muslims, don't copy the Christians. Yes, now. Okay, I'm going to give Kevin a shot, then I'm going to pontificate. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm just curious. Canaanites, they were trading partners with the Egyptians, so I would assume they would align themselves with the Egyptians and not accept the Jewish people coming in. So I just don't understand how, God is saying, I'm bringing you to the land of the Canaanites. That's just my question. He's like telling these people, I'm bringing you to the Canaanites, which probably hate you.
Yeah. There's so many stories in Jewish life about the interstitial nature of Canaan between the kingdoms of what would be Syria, Assyria, Babylonia, Persia up here to the north, and Egypt here, and what's in between? We are. And whichever way we turn, we get skunked from the other direction. Egypt wanted to go through to the north. The Syrian Greeks, for example, during the Hasmonean period, wanted to go south toward Egypt, and they kept running into us. And I'm proud to say, at least is my memory of a biblical history, which is very weak. Generally speaking, the Israelites or the people there made bad choices. If they chose to go with one, they got skunked from the other. Tamara, help me out on this. The relationship between the kingdoms of the north and Egypt in the south, we're in the middle.
Okay, well, Canaan was primarily the coastline, and the main route between east and west was along the coastline because it's flat and short. So armies, as you said, Stan, the armies would come and go, and commerce would come and go. But the large place, which is today's Israel and Jordan, was pretty much inhabited by people that the Bible called Canaanites. And they have traditions that we know a lot about, and they're different from what Israel traditions are going to be. So they were the most important competition for identity, because the Israelites were coming into land.
Okay, You stopped. We got cut off. Okay. Risa, in the meanwhile, you have your hand up.
I'm just intrigued by the constant repetition in just actually 3 verses of I am Adonai your God, or I Adonai am your God. Why is that repeated so frequently here?
Trying to improve.
Okay, Tamara, please.
I think that's the key, because they're coming into a world where the Canaanites are the predominant culture, and they have other gods. They have a whole slew of other gods. So this is precisely the key starting point of difference, is that Israel has only one God, and this is the God of Israel, and they must not mingle either with Egyptian gods or Canaanite gods. Canaanites were much more dominant because the land was inhabited by Canaanites. So it's, like American Jews are surrounded by American non-Jews. Israelites were surrounded by Canaanites. And Israel's God was worshipped differently from the other gods.
That's very funny. Growing up in the eastern suburbs of Cleveland, I really believed that Jews were the dominant population in the United States.
Right.
I really
Me
did.
too.
I really did. I went to a high school that was minimally 90% Jewish. And
Me too.
I assumed all of America was that way. It turned out not to be that case. Risa raised the question of God, why God? And the competition, if you will, is the rules of God, the people of the one God, over against the multiple gods that were in that strange geographic zone known as Canaan. It's pretty hard to put a specific on that. I would like, okay, one quickie from Rebecca, then I'm going to finish my sentence. I would like.
I just heard this recently, and correct me if it's wrong, but this idea of separation is what makes Judaism unique from other religions. Is that true?
It's a piece of it, but let me finish my sentence, Rebecca, because it's addressing that question. I am going to teach you a phrase, and you probably know it, but maybe not. Chukat hagoyim. Chukat hagoyim. And chukah is a law, a statute. Goyim means not the way we use it today, the non-Jew. And it's not meant as a goy, a negative. It's chukat hagoyim, the ways that non-Jews live. Chukat hagoyim. Now, this is a big topic. Let me ask a simple question with an obvious answer. Who colors eggs? Who colors eggs? Come on.
We used to.
Huh?
We used to.
Non-Jews for Easter.
Children color the eggs, don't they? Yeah.
Non-Jews for Easter. Boy, that's such a good answer. Unless part of your answer is certain communities of Sephardic Jews who color eggs for the Passover Seder plate.
Really?
I beg your pardon? Did someone say really?
I said really.
Oh my God, a challenge. Yeah. The tea egg? Maya, I don't know what a tea egg.
That's how lots of Sephardim, they use tea as a stain for Passover to stain the eggs and color them.
Thank you, Maya.
Why did you know that? And I just found out yesterday.
I grew up in a Sephardic community.
Okay. In any event, now Maya and I know, I had no idea that some Sfardim, color egg that puts on the Seder plate. Though we know that coloring the Easter egg is very much, a Christian phenomenon. What if we decided that coloring an egg for the Seder plate would be a nice thing to do like the non-Jew does? That would fit in. What do I have here? Cantor Shapiro grew up in a family where eggs are colored for Passover. Why didn't I know this? I never knew it. I'm sorry. Okay. And the more I did preparation for today, I was like, really? Okay. And now Cantor Shapiro has colored eggs for Pesach. I didn't know. Around the world, coloring Easter eggs, Chukat Goyim. At least from the Ashkenazi point of view, it was a non-Jewish practice. Okay, what's the Jewish attitude about sending Valentine's Day cards? I have head shaking, but I will tell you.
You do it on Tu B'Av.
Wasn't there a Jew that owned Hallmark?
The Jew, right. But when I was a kid in primary school, if I didn't get many Valentine's Day cards, I didn't say, Chukat Goyim, I don't want those cards. I said, Stanley isn't loved. Yeah, it was a serious problem sometimes. So Valentine's Day, Chukat Goyim, easily. I know families, do you know families who tell their Jewish children Halloween is for them and not for us? How many of you have actually heard that or are aware of some families that say that? Yep, Halloween is for them and not for us.
There are also preschools and day schools, at least here in Phoenix, that have closed on Valentine's Day and on Halloween for fear that kids will come dressed for Halloween or that kids will want to come and hand out Valentine's Day cards.
Chukat HaGoyim. Okay, that's the Jewish principle. Chukat HaGoyim. And I will tell you in the spirit of full confession that our kids had Halloween and Valentine's Day and they grew up okay, but well, they didn't grow up totally okay. But
well, the truth is, when Ron was in kindergarten in a very Orthodox school, we had a major battle with him about even handing out the candy.
Yeah, well, Ron didn't want to spend the money because he wanted it himself, but yeah, spending the money, handing out candy to the kids. This is a Jewish house. We don't do that. Right. Explain that to a stubborn preteen. Very hard, very hard. Okay, Stacy. You're muted, Stacy, sorry.
Rabbi, what's the objection for Jews to celebrate Valentine's Day and Halloween? Because I never was exposed to that as a kid, and I grew up in a pretty Jewish area. So I don't recall ever hearing that.
The principle of doing things that imitate what non-Jews do, because fundamental to biblical law, it was already said here, I think Steve, it was already said here, separation. Separation is everywhere, from Havdalah, Saturday night, to all kinds of things, separation. By the way, separation applies to clothing that people wear. Where do we see that?
Wool and linen.
Pardon?
Wool and linen.
Well, wool and linen, wool is a forbidden combination in the Torah. Yes, but if you look at the dress of the ultra-Orthodox, the Hasidic communities, when you see them in their black coats, the hats, the shtreimel, this, that, and the other, this is the legal origin of that behavior. They not only know that their kids are not dressed the way all of the other kids are dressed, they want that. They want that. So the irony of the ultra-Orthodox wearing the long coats, the hats, everything that goes with it, the irony is, who in the history of the Jewish encounter with the non-Jewish world looked like that? The Polish nobility. What happened is, as Hasidism arose, it pulled the garb of the upper class Polish world and forever adopted it as the Jewish standard. So while they desperately don't want to look like me, they do look like Polish nobility from 200 and 300 years ago. Very interesting. I see Fern. I haven't said hello to Fern yet, so I say hello to Fern. Hi, Fern.
Stanley, hi everyone. I have just a corollary observation, which is recently evangelical Christians have taken to having Jesus Seders at Passover. The Saddleback Church, which has 10,000 members locally, just had a major Seder for Passover. Really? And many of the churches do. And I think many of Jews, myself included, find it kind of creepy. And it just seems connected to the, who gets to appropriate other people's stuff. And it's a conversation that happens not just Jewishly, but
right.
It happens with other ethnicities now, et cetera. Is it okay to look like, to act like somebody else that you aren't, and to appropriate it as your own and twist it in some way to make it your own?
Right. And by the way, here we are in Los Angeles and in Hollywood and all that kind of place. There's all kinds of battles going on right now about cultural appropriation and who has the right to play a gay person. The person who should play a gay person is a gay person, and no one else should. It's cultural appropriation, or a whole variety, and lots of things. The good news, Fern, is that a lot of the national church groups don't like Christian Seders. They're much more in favor of set up a partnership with the Jewish community and share, let them lead and teach a Jewish thing, as opposed to Christians conducting Christian Seders.
But this is a confusing, and there are a lot of fine lines to be considered, because even though I don't like that they do that, I also do feel that, an actor is an actor and can play different things. And there are other cultural things. I like to eat certain foods that are not my own cultures, etc. So it's a continuum of appropriation, if you will.
It is that, by the way, one of the interesting things in biblical study is what archaeologists do in trying to dig up remnants of ancient cultures, not just buildings, but garbage heaps. You read about these archaeologists who are in love with garbage heaps. Fine. Okay. Or I don't want to go into this one, bathroom remnants. And they do serious study because they determine eating habits. And one of the things you'll read, we find no bones of pigs in the Jewish whatever garbage dump. And using that to prove when a separation occurred. One of the uncomfortable parts is sometimes they do find pig bones in areas of Jewish habitation. So we're not going to talk about that. That's wrong. But yeah, separation is huge. And what am I supposed to quote? Oh, I just came up with a Shakespeare quote. To thine own self be true. To thine, right? That's a Shakespeare thing. To thine own self be true, that thou canst not then be false to any person. Yeah. Chukat hagoyim. I don't want to start singing, stick to your own kind. The part of what it takes to survive is being comfortable in your difference. Part of what it takes to survive is being comfortable in your own difference. The flip of it is sometimes difference can be so extreme, it can be very negative. Steve.
I just have two observations. One, as you point out often, even among our own traditions and events in the Torah, we have also taken from other cultures and adopted them for ourselves.
Yes.
And the other comment I want to make in terms of the practice of others, I think we still have to remember Halloween and Valentine's Day, it's because they're religiously oriented. We certainly don't object to celebrating Thanksgiving Day, Independence Day. We have a prayer on Shabbat morning for our country and how we want to be a leader among nations. And so that with respect to when we're doing what other people do, our separation is when that's based in religion, not in general society.
Last night, and thank you, last night, Rabbi Eshel had a brief comment to make about the two flags that are on the bima at Wilshire, American flag, Israeli flag, and asked the question, we understand the stripes and the stars. What's this doing here? Why is it here? Interestingly, because last night there was a preponderance of visitors, but a lot of people couldn't answer the question. When he put the question, we are American citizens, he asked, how many people here are Israeli citizens? So Risa and I and a couple of other people raised our hands, but that was it. So why is this flag? The custom of the people, Chukat Hagoyim. Does an American flag belong in a sanctuary? Does a political symbol at all belong in a sanctuary? Step one. Step two, if we say yes to an American flag because churches have that, then we add the Israeli flag. Why? We're mostly not citizens of Israel. And though I think, let me be very clear, that the Israeli flag must belong, stays, it's proper and appropriate. Having said that, a lot of people haven't thought about what they're seeing. What's going on in this imitative and adaptive behavior. I see Effie, I see Stacy.
I consider myself an American Jew, not a Jewish American.
Me too.
Fine,
I'm
Stacy.
a Jew who happens to live in the United States.
Fine. One can never question questions of identity. Yes, I understand that. Fine, Stacy.
Rabbi, Steve's comment and your comment makes me think about the fact that even when I was a kid, I always thought there was something a little odd that Christmas is a national holiday, because that's clearly rooted in religion. And I just thought, well, isn't that kind of crossing the line here? It's not like I had any, I don't know, it just seemed to me that we talk about the separation of church and state in this country, but why is Christmas an exception to the extent that it's given national, that it's a national holiday and that. So that was always something that I was curious about.
We're by the way, when I said that these 5 verses open up huge questions, do you understand what I'm saying? Look what's happened. Yeah, opens up huge questions. That's why a number of schools will call it winter recess, not Christmas break. And that's why, from the political right, Christian right, but also political right, they want to save Christmas. That language is there. They want, so commentaries on television, commentators on television will say, no matter what's going on out there, have a happy Christmas or a Merry Christmas, not just a winter holiday. So what we're talking about really, these are cultural clashes. But if you want to see a cultural clash, go to Israel over the winter holidays. Israel depends on tourism. I mean, thank God, there's a lot of other good stuff, but there's tourism. I want to say this, but I don't want you to repeat it. And I know this is being taped, but keep it quiet. There are more non-Jews than Jews in the world. Just between us. Israel wants tourism. Tourists come on school holidays or vacation periods. Winter vacation is a time. And then Christmas, Bethlehem, this and that, big stuff. Every year, there is what we call in Russian, but now people believe it's Hebrew, a balagan. The balagan is Russian, but people use it as if it were Hebrew. It's what do you do? So the kashrut authorities tried to lift the kosher certification of major hotels that have Christmas trees. And if you try to figure out what's the connection between kashrut and a Christmas, I've never eaten a Christmas tree. What's the possible connection? You'll get answers. If we can't trust them for this, we can't trust them for that. It's a big deal. I see Larry, Steve, Risa.
So one of the ironies that I see in the Christian rights defense of Christmas is that the more you make something a national holiday in a diverse nation, the less religious it becomes. And the protection of Christmas makes me think it one day will be seen more like Valentine's Day and Halloween. If it's a national holiday, then it's not a religious holiday. And that's the opposite of the separation, right? I mean, if you want your religion to be your religion, you need it to be special for you.
Okay, Steve, I read your comment, but go ahead.
I actually just put my thoughts in the chat so everybody else could speak.
The city council refused to be in recess on Yom Kippur and then decided on to. It's a problem. It is a problem. Risa, then Merle.
I just wanted to finish the comment about the flags because it was very important that you mentioned the American flag is a political statement, if you will, about the country's growth and beginning and development, and stars get added every year that there's a new state. But the Israeli flag is based on the Talit, and the symbolism stresses the peoplehood of the Jewish people versus the religion of the Jewish people. And I think that was a very important thing that David Eshel said last night. And the other thing is just a smile to let those who don't know that for me, the biggest celebration of Christmas in Israel is the parade of the Santa Clauses. And it's really fun to watch hundreds of people dressed as Santa Claus marching through Jerusalem.
I am so much not going to comment on that.
It's not for comment. It's just a smile.
It's just out there. Merle?
So years ago, there was a URJ biennial in Orlando at Disney World. And in the hotel, you guys might have been there, there was a Christmas tree. And people that were attending the biennial had a fit that this convention was planned probably 3 years before, 2 years before, and that they were more mad at URJ that they didn't stipulate that the Christmas tree shouldn't be allowed to put up there. And you know, I mean, there were other people in the hotel that weren't Jewish that were just there to go to Disney World, where whatever park they were going to, but people really had a fit that this Christmas tree was in the lobby of the hotel.
Please understand how I brilliantly introduced these 5 verses. Okay,
I get
it. It looks so benign. I'm
It's
going to
not.
say something.
No,
Not at all.
Moses,
So,
Moshe Feinstein. Have you ever heard of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein?
yeah.
A blessed memory. Rabbi Moshe Feinstein was the greatest decisor of Orthodox Judaism in the 20th century. He was massive. And since he lived a long life, yeah, Fern says you were at that Florida. We were there too. I don't remember seeing you, but yes, we were there too. Moshe Feinstein, because he taught over many years, sometimes you can see the evolution of his decisions. And that's fun, very authentic, fun. The easiest example is cigarette smoking among yeshiva bochers. In his early writings, Feinstein talked about the pressures and the tension in the yeshiva, and if it makes the students, more at ease, okay, not a big deal. By the end of his life, he was issuing Isur, a forbidden. You can't do it. It's against health. We now know that it's bad for health, so you can't do it. So you watch, if you read early Moshe Feinstein and then late Moshe Feinstein, he was brilliant. Now, Moshe Feinstein did not admit that within the Jewish world, there is a difference between sacred and secular. He didn't admit to the existence of a secular world. So that if you'd say the flag is political and not religious, Moshe Feinstein, Risa, wouldn't know what you're talking about. Okay? In his world, everything flows from the sacred. Everything, whatever we do. And if we claim that Valentine's Day is a secular event and not Saint Valentine's, he probably would have gotten a migraine. No, not so. Okay, do you understand that within the Orthodox world today, and it's one of the reasons why it's sometimes hard to dialogue, because what I would view as secular, it's what the heck? Secular. The learned Orthodox Jew would say there's no such thing. It's all part of one world. And you can't cross the line, and you can't. By the way, in the Talmud, to make certain everyone grasps that the Talmud was written when there was a real world. And there is an exclusion built into early Mishnaic writings that if someone who is Jewish is involved officially with the government, they are exempt from Chukat HaGoyim. That if you have a Jewish political figure accepted within the corpus, the community of the national government, those people are allowed to dress like, appear like everybody else. I find that fascinating. I don't know what to do with it, but it's fascinating that they call this Krovim L'Malchut. If they are near Malchut Melech, if they're near the kingdom, the government, then there are certain exemptions in Chukat HaGoyim. I love it. I think you gotta get along. You gotta get along. Rabbi Moshe Feinstein has ruled, and the word here is famously, has famously ruled that Jews are forbidden to take part in the festivities. He writes in Hebrew, he wrote in Hebrew, the word is smachot, simchas. Jews are forbidden to take part in the smachot, the simchas, and the seudot of certain American celebrations, and he specifically included Thanksgiving. Not because he thought Thanksgiving was a religious holiday, no, but because he defines it as a Gentile custom. Remember the phrase, Chukat Goyim, that Leviticus 18:3 forbids Jews to observe. Do you understand the 5 verses we're looking at? It's there. It's there. And then to make sure that you really get the point, I want to, can we please go in the Plout? I don't have the women's commentary. This is just, hold on to your place, but look at page 806. 806, Leviticus 20:23. Lo and behold, look what it says. Leviticus 20:23. First of all, 22, faithfully observe all of my laws, lest the land spit you out. Verse 23. Oh my goodness. In Hebrew, lo telchu bechukat hagoy. It's right there in the Torah. So it says hagoy instead of hagoyim, same thing. You shall not follow the practices of the nation that I am driving out before you, for it is because they did these things that I abhorred them. So in our combined sedras this week, two almost identical ways of saying that Chukat HaGoyim is forbidden. This is a big deal in biblical law. Effie?
I always thought, and I was taught, that when you live in another country and you're not in Israel, as long as the laws and the customs do not go against Jewish law, you should follow the laws of the country you're in.
And I'm trying to point out that from a traditional Jewish halachic perspective, that's not accurate. Chukat HaGoyim operates everywhere. If you are observant, that's one of the things, if you go back to the Pittsburgh platform, that founding platform of American Reform Judaism, it does everything possible to break down the barriers of Chukat HaGoyim. One way of looking at the Pittsburgh platform is an all-out assault. What does it say? Forget kashrut. Okay? And then forget the ways that you are separate. We are all Americans. And so the Pittsburgh platform is an all-out assault on Chukat HaGoyim. And we have been pulling back from that bit by bit over the century. We're running. Okay, Effie, a quickie, please.
I just did it.
Okay, now, may I point out that Jewish law.
But I want you to notice that Tamara agrees with me.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah. Pray for the nation in which we live. Yeah. I want to point out that in terms of feeling comfortable, the halacha felt more comfortable with Muslim world than Christian world. I am talking medieval Jewish rabbinic scholars that halacha, boy, be careful how you say this, Davids. The halacha says that Islam is exempt from the condemnation of idolatry, but Christianity is not. Okay? Very, very interesting. Therefore, and I'll close with this, almost all traditional rabbis believe that following any Christian customs falls within the biblical prohibition of Chukat HaGoyim. So it's not just that it's Christmas, it's that it's Christian.
Rabbi, what should we as Reform Jews make of what you're saying?
I think you should turn me off and forget. That's such a huge question, and thankfully time is out.
But Thanksgiving doesn't fall into that exact statement.
I understand, Steve, we're at the end. The National Conference of Christians and Jews would not have liked what I just said. To understand that relationships between Jewish and Christian and Muslim religious leaders must be experienced with full disclosure. I do not believe that Christians are idolaters, except you push me, it's not here. When Pope John the 23rd died, you remember, Risa? Pope John the 23rd died. John was a good guy. He was a superb spiritual and religious leader. When he died, we were in New York, into St. Patrick's Cathedral in New York, big place. And there he was, Pope John the 23rd, full papal garments, wax image in a glass case so that no one could get near. And as people walked in to the cathedral, there was the recently deceased John the 23rd. I have to tell you, there is little that I could do to reconcile myself with the way Catholics were responding to the presence of that image. It remains an upsetting and confusing moment for me. I can explain it away, but in my gut, it's confusing. And I have to leave it there. Thank you for today. Wow. Chukat HaGoyim, first 5 verses of chapter 18. Keep looking at them, because they have had a massive impact in the shaping of Jewish life and thought. We're going to go directly to Kaddish now. We ran long. I apologize. Here we go. We mentioned those who have passed away during the past month: Jacqueline Besheret Anvar, Judith Gabriela Benvenisti, Diane Edelstein, Michael Edwards, Evelyn Eigler, Rowena Haas, Brian Kravitz, Max Sheftal, Hillel Silverman, Jean Weiss, Linda Wolf. I will mention Rabbi Harold Kushner died this week, the author of When Bad Things Happen to Good People, and many, many, many other important works. Rabbi Harold Kushner, we will be including him in our Kaddish. Yortzites that occurred during the past week: Eliza Adams, Sarah Adler, Ruth Alexander, Lawrence Arnold, Harriet Beck, Dorothy Berman, Edward Blackman, Nancy Block, Frederico Block, Muriel Felser Bodek, Anna Brandis, Steve Broidy, Molly Burton, Louise Citron, Paul Colton, Lully Cordova, Arlene Byrne Cutler, Norma Daum, Carolyn Tamar Davidson, Frank Davis, Eugene Dubik, Jerry Edson, Sylvia Ezor, Doris Factor, David Fisher, Herbert Emmanuel Fisher, Lottie Flam, Navaldo Fonte, Len Foreman, Sarah Frechtel, Grace Godwilson, Linda Gilbert, Lila Gordon, Sylvia Gottenberg, Marjorie Ann Gould, Judith Greenwald, Rose Gray, Frida Haymont, Alvin Honoroff, Rose Caden, Anna Kalik, Sanford Kaplan, Mitchell Carlin, Irving K., Raymond Kurtzman, Arthur Layson, Betty Levison, Ruth Levine, Irma Mayer, Edward Mandel, Ruth Meyer, Howard Miller, Richard Minter, Nicholas Marina, Wolfie Nadelman, Sylvia Nyman, Alice Nyman, Lisa Block-Orshansky, Paul Orland, Ben Pascal, Abby Perlman, Marcia Flug, Minna Picard, Stanley Pollock, Paul Rockman, Nathan Rosenblatt, Erwin Rothman, Abram Sachs, Carol Grace Salinas, David Schneider, Inga Seabaum, Manny Siegel, Stephen Shapiro, Rusty Sherman, Ben Schreier, Gloria Silber, Max Sizemore, Catherine Skluth, Raymond David Slotkin, Israel Sonis, Annette Starr, Dorothea Stokes, Susie Temkin, Raphael Uziel, Evelyn Wallace, Sheila Wallach, Irving Weisberg, Sidney Weisberg, Ronnie Wiesel, Sally Wool, Phyllis Zemlak, Bernard Zwieben. I apologize for the names that I mispronounced. If you have other names to be mentioned at this point, either speak them aloud or in your heart. We bear in mind as well the names of all of those who died in defense of the state of Israel, who died in the defense of the United States of America, who died through senseless acts of terror, and people who have no one to say Kaddish for them. I'm going to mention Jerry Springer. My cousin was his publicist for 30 years. And she kept trying to tell me that despite his show, he was a good guy. She loved him. We join in Kaddish. Yitgadal, Rabba, Yamad, Yamlir, Beit Israel, Ba'agala, Uvizman, Ari, Amen. Yehei, Abba, Barak, Le'alam, Yomed, Amaya. Barak, Yeshabah, V'yitma'al, Yitramam, Yitnaseh, V'yitladar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Zmeid Kurisham, Richu, Le'ela, Mikol Birchata, Tushkata, Nefamata, Tamibante Allah, Timru, Amen. Heshlomo Rabba, Yishmaya, V'chayim, Aleinu Yalkol Yisrael, Amen. Oseh Shalom, Romav, Aseh, Shalom.
Aleinu Yalkol Yisrael,
Amen. May God, who makes peace in the high places, make peace in our hearts, make peace in our homes, make peace in the household of Israel, make peace among all the families and nations of earth, and let us say, Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for today.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Better with tomorrow, it'll be much better. And then you'll be stuck with me the week after. Shabbat Shalom. See you.
Shabbat Shalom.
Have a good trip. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, somebody's singing.
Yeah, Effie, who can't?
He sings from his heart.
I used to drive Shulmi crazy every time I sang. Okay, bye everybody.
Bye.